Power distance. Power distance is the extent to which lower-ranking individuals of a society accept and expect that power is distributed unequally. In cultures with a high power distance, people accept a deeply hierarchical system of power with little to no need for justification. The opposite is true of cultures with a low power distance. These cultures reflect a loose hierarchical power distribution. Ethiopia has a high score on the power distance scale at 70. This is compared to the United States, which has a more balanced score of 40. From this, one might reason that an ideal workplace in Ethiopia would be controlled by a benevolent autocrat, and that said workplace would be centered around the power of that person. People in this workplace expect to be told what to do by their boss, and likely address said boss with an honorific title. The ideal U.S. workplace is a more egalitarian affair. However, there is still a generally recognized hierarchy in place. That said, an employee in the U.S. is far more likely to be on a friendly first-name basis with their boss than an employee in Ethiopia. Individualism. Individualism addresses the degree of interdependence a society maintains among its members. Individualistic societies favor an individually oriented sense of self. Members of these cultures view most things through the perspective of I. Conversely, collectivistic societies favor a sense of self related to groups. Ethiopia and the U.S. are more or less polar opposites in this respect, with Ethiopia scoring a 20 and the U.S. scoring a 91. Ethiopia favors the idea of in-group loyalty and strong bonds with other members of the group. Again, members of such a culture view the world in the scope of we rather than I. The U.S. scoring a 91 here is about as obvious a result as is possible. In the U.S., we favor individuality, personal achievement, and while we maintain strong bonds with family and friends, we conceptualize the world in an I sense.
Masculinity. Masculinity, according to Hofstede, determines what motivates people in a society. Cultures with high masculinity tend to be driven by competition, achievement, and success. On the other hand, feminine societies are driven by caring for others and quality of life. Ethiopia is a masculine society. This can be contributed largely due to their warriorhood mentality. Ethiopia ranks 65 compared to the United States, who ranks 62, according to Greer-Hofstede's cultural analysis. This is because in Ethiopia, military prowess offers a royal road to prestige and legitimacy, as well as ascendance to a powerful warlordship, and retains lifted material values to a dominant position.
The dimension uncertainty avoidance has to do with the way that society deals with the fact that the future can never be known. Should we try to control the future or just let it happen? This ambiguity brings with it anxiety, and different cultures have learnt to deal with this anxiety in different ways. The extent to which the members of a culture feel threatened by ambiguous or unknown situations have created beliefs and institutions that try to avoid these, reflected in the score on uncertainty avoidance. The dimension long-term orientation describes how every society has to maintain some link with its own past while dealing with the challenges of the present and future. The societies prioritize these two existential goals differently. Normative societies, which score low on this dimension, for example, prefer to maintain time-honored traditions and norms, while viewing societal change with suspicion. Those with a culture which score high, on the other hand, take a more pragmatic approach. They encourage thrift and efforts in modern education as a way to prepare for the future.
Indulgence. The dimension of indulgence is defined as the extent to which people try to control their desires and impulses. This is based on the way they were raised. Weak control is called indulgence, and strong control is called resistance. Ethiopia has no measure of this because it is still a developing country. Therefore, the culture doesn't have much to indulge